G'day guys and gals, so we have a new Annihilation. Watery Tidehollow is the mission, this is the map, we have our defense point right smack bang in the center, which is quite unpleasant. All the enemies from the last event, including this first talk, who's a nasty piece of work. Now, that's okay. So, this is the team we'll be taking in. I've got Courier in Texas with skill 2. Courier is just using skill 1. We have Vermeil and Blue Poison, both with their split shot skills, so skill 2 for each. We need a good burst sniper. So, I'm using Greythroat with skill 1. I have Silence because I'm probably going to need her drone. I use it habitually anyway, but I'm fairly certain we probably need it unless you're bringing like really chunky healers. Executor, I haven't tried this with Aosta, so I'm not sure if he can pull it off. I did find, however, that unfortunately my poor little pinecone could not keep up, so Executor was who we will be bringing with skill 1. I've got Telopsis with skill 1, that's because it has a better cycle time. Two healing defenders, so I've got Nerl and Gummy. Now you can exchange, I probably wouldn't exchange Nerl, simply because of her talent. So Pegasus Halo increases the healing effect received by all allies in the battlefield by 12% when Nerl is deployed. So if you're going to replace anybody, I would probably consider replacing Gummy. That said, I do like Gummy's Frying Pan Specialist because that does buy her a little bit of extra time, so nah, it's up to you guys, whatever you feel like using. A fast redeploy, you don't need to bring Project Red. I'm just using Project Red simply because of her skill 1, which increases her damage. You'll see why when I am deploying her. So that's the only reason I'm using Red. You probably can get away with using Gravel, but I haven't tried, so I'm not 100% sure. Alright. So last but not least, I'll be bringing a 6-star. That 6-star is Helliger with skill 2. And that's pretty much it. If you want to bring a support unit, so I mean, if you don't have Helliger, you can grab... Not a lot of people have Helliger in their support units, unfortunately. Instead of Helliger, the only other alternative I would really probably consider is Thorns with skill 3, so... you would probably be putting Thorns in a different position. You probably move Thorns one slot over from where I've got Helliger, so I'll explain that when I get in there, but I try not to linger on it so I don't confuse you guys, because there's a lot going on when we get to the back end of this. Also, before I forget, if this does help you out, or you just enjoy listening to me crap on, then by all means, hit that subscribe because that helps me out a lot. Alright, so we're going to start off, we're going to get the right deploy order first and foremost, so we're going to go Telopsis, Texas just here, and Courier up top. After that, we're going to pop in Blue over here and wait for deployment points. Vermeil here. So both of these snipers facing off to the right. And basically, right now we're just on the deployment point cycle. So we're just going to be spamming skills. Silence is in next, facing down. We'll throw in Greythroat, facing down. Stay on top of those deployment points. So Executor will be our next one in. There we go. So he'll be in facing up, obviously. Okay, so what we want to do from here is basically deploy. If you're using Thorns with skill 3, plop him here facing... Oh, it's probably going to be a bit hard to say which way to face him. I would probably consider plopping him here facing off to the right. But that's probably... I haven't used him, so I'm not entirely sure exactly where I would put him, but that would be sort of my educated guess. Anyway, Helga facing off to the right. Stay on the deployment points. Because the problem is, if you plop in Thorns facing down, he'll attack this drone, and we don't want him attacking this drone. We want these drones as alive as we can possibly get them. Which... they don't do a whole lot. They tend to nick off faster than I'd prefer them to, but... whatever little aid they give is... whatever little aid they give, I guess. So we're just staying on top of the deployment points at the moment. For this first section, I think, off the top of my head, this map is split up into about 4 different sections, but they don't swap over on the hundreds, like a lot of the previous maps have, so I haven't really been following along with where exactly they swap over. Because a lot of the times, as you'll see, just a lot piles out at once at the start of a phase swap. And you need to sort of stay on top of those, otherwise they overwhelm you pretty quickly. You end up losing operators. Like Vermeil, for example, in this will probably go down more than once. That's simply because she won't have the damage to keep ahead of some enemies. But we'll do what we can. Alrighty. So we should be about due our first flower. Which will be coming out from this entry point down the bottom here. So there's the flyers. The flyer route does not change. They just do that zigzag. So from here, down, up, and then down to the exit. So you don't have a whole lot of time to get rid of them, which is why I say bring a good burst sniper, because they need to really be on top of these enemies. Because for this strategy, you are going to have your burst sniper helping out with the flowers that'll be coming in a little bit. For now though, we can just use Texas to help out with them. Since Texas's skill hits air units. Should be getting close to the swap into the next section. Yep, so here's the first of the next section, where we have the Sea Reapers, or the flowers, call them whatever you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to deploy our fast redeploy right on that thing's bum. Fast forward. Now red will not kill that, which is fine. Just hold it there. The same thing if you're using gravel. Just hold it there until the stun takes effect, and then just pull the fast redeploy out. So that's how that plays out. It'll stun your fast redeploy once you've activated it, and it'll take damage as it goes around. It will circle exactly around, so you'll notice that you've got 2 rows here. It will circle exactly around our protection point, and then it'll come in from the bottom. So the idea is to sort of just get as much time with our burst sniper attacking it as possible to minimize how much strain, I guess, it's going to put on Helga. So the next one's out, so we'll activate it. Fast forward, because this plays out fairly linearly the whole time. So at the moment, we're not taking a whole lot of damage. Everything's still sort of the basic blue colored enemies. We are not to a large amount of red enemies yet. So X flower, same deal, fast redeploy in. May as well use that. Pull red out. So a lot of enemies here, you'll notice in the top row, will stop. They'll pile in the first 4 cells and then they'll stop. Now this isn't a huge issue at the moment because they're all melee units, but later on they will be ranged units, and that's when we need to keep a close eye on Executor. So now starts the next phase. So 102 is from 1 to 2. 153, I think it was, is 2 to 3. So once again, make that thing cranky. Red out. Now if you want, the idea of leaving Texas there is actually, there is a reason for it. And I'll show you why in a little bit. So Texas will be staying there the entire mission. And I'll show you why when the red enemies start coming out from down the bottom. So you'll notice that we've got more red enemies starting to come through up the top here. Oh, there goes red. That's alright. So because we have flyers up here now, what I'll do is I'll go bang, stun that. And that flower will continue to take damage itself until, well, someone kills it or it kills itself, one or the other. Alright, fast forward again. And that's what we're going to be using Texas for. Now, Texas's cooldown will not always be up in the later stages of the map. Use her skill again just to help out with those 3 flyers. So you're going to have to sort of manage around that. And that's mostly the reason we're running Helga's skill 2, because Helga's skill will always cycle as those flowers come out. So Helga will always be ready for the flowers again until the later phases of the map. Okay, so 207, we have our next phase starting. So what we get is these pocket crawlers, and these things are what will eventually kill Vermeil. They'll just basically overwhelm her. There's nothing we can do about it. So once these enemies come out from behind, we'll use Vermeil's second skill, and she can start assisting with killing those enemies off. So we have another flower. So we're going to go back down the bottom here. Use red. Because you'll notice that Vermeil will start attacking these enemies. So we kind of want to make sure that while there's other enemies on the field, Vermeil is trying to focus this as best we can. It's not always going to work out that way, but you work with what you've got, I guess is probably the best way to say it. Beggars can't be choosers and all that jazz. So we'll use the skill again, just to finish off that crawler. As you can see, anything that comes through too far is going to get caught by Helga. So again, we don't care. That's entirely fine. So here come our Nourished Reapers, so the red flowers. So we're going to use red in the same capacity. We're not going to change anything at all. Now red will start dying to these, and that's completely fine because I want to tie that flower down as long as humanly possible. So now we're going to start using Texas' skill to stun that enemy. And that is the indication to swap in Null. So as you can see, these drones don't really work for you. So here we go, the Primal Sea Pierces, the Spitting Flowers, I don't know, everything looks like a frickin' flower here. Anyway, so from now on, we're basically going to have ranged units coming through this top lane. Which means Helga's going to start taking a lot more damage because we won't always have blue ones, we're going to eventually get red ones, so mind Executor's health from this point onwards. Red in to grab that flower. So I'm a little concerned about Executor's health. Stun the flower. Flower gone. So just make sure you stay on top of them, that's all it is. More crawlers. So once again, we're going to repeat the same process. Wait until enemies start coming out, then use the skill. Another crawler down the bottom. Grab it. Executive skill up top to make sure you don't have to worry about that because Telopsis is still on cooldown. When Blue Poison's side has more coming out, Blue Poison skill, because we want to give Vermeil as much of a chance as possible. Texas' skill. Stun that flower. Vermeil skill as soon as it's ready. Don't worry about what's coming out because that thing is going to approach Vermeil. Telopsis' skill. Make sure that Executor's staying alive. So ideally, we want to get those crawlers down to roughly a quarter health. At that point in time, they're not a threat to Vermeil. They'll hurt her, but they won't kill her. Again, if you're worried about this, just use Helga's skill. Helga's skill cycles, that skill too, cycles extremely quick, so don't worry too much about it. Next phase. So this is where the big stuff comes. This is the no bullshit time. So this is where we're going to be making big use of this drone. So you kind of really need to stay on top of everything at this point in time. Or as much as you possibly can at the very least. So there'll be a lot going on, so I don't know how much fast forwarding I'll be doing here. So bear with me if you're just looking for a speed run. As usual, stun that. Now that's only got, I should have said this earlier, but this only has one cell of give. So basically what you want to do is when it gets to dead center of the cell before Texas's range, use Texas's skill because there is a delay. Which is probably why it's a good thing to practice ahead of time. So we're going to have more stuff. So we've got the big crawlers coming out now. Once again, skill. Wait for more enemies to come out before Helga's. Go Go crazy over here. Just use skills. Back down the bottom. Helga's skill, once we've got these lanes full up. You'll probably need a drone. That was red down the bottom that just died there, so don't panic. So once again, halfway through, use that skill, stun that flower. The male skill again as soon as it's ready. Now, this is probably where I will lose the male. Simply because she's gonna fall behind here. That was red again down the bottom. So back up the top to Texas. Texas' skill. More enemies coming up the top lane. Stay on top of Executor. Use the drone if you have to. Probably don't use blue poison skill here if what you're seeing is similar to what I've got here. You're free to use the male skill though because she has a lot of work to do. So stay on top of that. So keep looking over here, make sure Executor's looking comfortable. I would say my Executor's looking comfortable. Close, but comfortable, so that's okie dokie. If yours is not looking comfortable, use that skill. Don't risk it. I'm worried about that flyer, so I'm going to use that skill. Because I want to get that flyer down, because we've only got one target shooting that. Next phase. And this is where you will be puckering hard, ladies and gentlemen. The male skill, straight off the bat. We don't want to piss around with this first one. Blue skill, as soon as the second one's in range. First flower down the bottom on the right-hand side now. Same deal, we're dropping red in. This time, obviously, the flower's not going to be doing a lap. So we've got to stay on top of this flower. Don't bullshit, just go with Helga's skill. Use it early, because he will destroy that flower. So use it early, make sure that he's got plenty of time to cycle down before the next flower comes out. Next flower comes out from the left. Executive skill on this side, we don't want to mess around anymore. We want to make sure that everybody is pulling their weight. The male skill as soon as it's ready. I was probably way too slow on that pickup, but anyway. Red down the bottom. Drone in the middle to keep the male alive. Red's down, pull her out. She survived that one, I don't know how. Next flower is out. It will wait there, don't worry about it. Again, the male skill. Make sure this thing gets killed. Project Red when she's ready. Once again, on this side, Executor's going to get hammered. This time use the skill to keep him alive. He will probably also need a drone though, because now he's going to be getting hammered by a lot of stuff. Stay on top of it. That was red. Don't worry about it. This flower is cactus. Don't worry about Helga's skill. Executive skill. Get rid of these flowers. Project Red again. Texas. Stun that flower. Perfect. Now here is where we're going to have an issue. Telopsis is off cooldown. So is Helga. Drop the drone in there to keep him alive. Tolopsis' skill as soon as it's ready. Don't even risk it. Now we want to hard yakka this group. We want to make sure that Executor's skill is ready for the next group. So drop that drone in there, keep everything cycled. Because after this we go to the next group, the next phase. And this is where it gets fun, ladies and gents. Once again, Vermeil, don't even waste time. With blue, you're going to have to waste time. You need to make sure, because these are going to walk straight up in front of your snipers. Project Red. So you want to make sure that these are managed. Otherwise, you're going to lose your snipers. So we're going to pop a drone down. Red's done. Pull out. This time, we're going to have to use Helliger. Helliger's skill. Don't risk it. There goes Vermeil. Don't worry about that. This group up here, don't worry about them. They're okay. Drone to top them up. Project Red on this flower over here. Just make sure you're on top of these flowers because they will ruin your day. Tolopsis' skill. Once this one fires off its last grouping, which I think it has, we'll use that skill there. Boss is in play. Texas' skill. Executor's skill. Drop a drone in to keep people alive. Gummy in. Project Red. Drone in the center. We have to keep Gummy alive. Vermeil back in when Red goes down. I've left Red in there deliberately. We have the drone keeping her alive. Drone again. This drone, not Silence's drone. Vermeil's skill. So now we have issues. Don't worry too much about this flower yet. As I said, Vermeil's going to go down several times. Tolopsis' skill. Use the drone to keep them topped. That was Red. Don't worry about her. Executor's skill. Texas' skill. Blue Poison skill. Drop that drone in. Don't worry about what's going on here. This isn't going to cause a huge issue. You're looking at one more wave that will come through. Drone back in. Keep Gummy topped up. She's healing herself. Executor's skill. He's gone past Gummy. Pull Gummy out. Project Red in. Tolopsis' skill. Helliger is done. Not quite, but mostly. Vermeil back in. Keep working on that. Don't worry about the boss walking through. The boss is fine. That was Red that just went down the bottom. Again, don't worry about it. Vermeil's skill. Courier. Executor. Drone to keep people alive here. Do not use Helliger's skill. It will fucking cane you. Once it drops down to about 1/5 of its health, you're free to use Helliger's skill. Project Red, Courier out. Vermeil out, everything's done. If the boss is still walking around, you're pretty much free to just use Project Red again, because He'll walk around here and fart around the whole time he's going. Don't worry about it. As long as you leave these two operators in, at least, Telopsis and Executor, he'll keep attacking those, which will slow his path down. That's entirely fine. And then just use red to finish him off. If for whatever reason he does make it the full lap around, Gummy. Just use Gummy again. Make sure he's somewhere that your sniper can hit. So in my case, Greythroat, make sure that he's in Greythroat's range. Drop your tank on top of him. And just go from there. Just dogpile him with all the operators you've pulled out. That's it. So I know that's not simple, guys. As I say, like, just looking at this, standard time speed is a half-hour run, so I'm sorry I can't cut that one down much more, but yeah, I hope that helps, guys. As I said at the start, if it does help out, please leave a sub, because that helps me out a huge amount, and I hope to see you guys for when the event starts.